Good morning, everybody. I am finally here. I got pulled into an early morning meeting. Those of you who know I still work a full-time job, y'all will understand. Y'all been rolling with me for a minute. Good morning. Hey, Aisha. Good morning. I am here. I am here. I am here. Thank y'all for being patient. Thank y'all for waiting, hanging around. I appreciate it. Give me a sec. Billy Earnhardt. What are you talking about, sir? What are you talking about? Soon as I come into the screen, I see your comment with all caps. And it sounds like a threat. So before I boot you out, I'm going to give you the opportunity to tell me what you're talking about and who are you talking to. Don't boot him out yet, Aisha. DG Vet is absolutely right. A convicted felon can't get a security clearance, but I want us to understand that if Donald Trump gets back into the White House, all of the laws that we have abided by, all of the policies that have governed us for years, all of that is out the window. He will follow none of that. He will follow none of that. I know, Aisha. He got 30 seconds to respond. 30 seconds from the count of now. Here's what he put out there. Everyone is going to get what they have coming, and you know what you got coming. No hiding. You know what you are. Billy Earnhardt. That sounds like a threat. And we don't take kindly to threats over here, nor do threats shake us over here. Good morning. Good morning. He was friendly previously. This sounds like a threat. I'm gonna need, if he's friendly, I'm gonna need for him to step up to the front and tell me what he's talking about and who he is talking about. Hey, Pastor Caldwell, good morning. And we're down to 15 seconds. We don't take kindly to threats over here, and that sounds like a threat to me. Okay, let me boot Billy Earnhardt. Okay, so the other night was the debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. It was highly anticipated. Many of us pretty much knew how the result of the debate was going to be. We knew she was going to come out on top. We knew that. But I think for a lot of us, the way that we have been watching how mainstream media has been moving, how was mainstream media going to spin it to make it look like Donald Trump came out on top and that Kamala Harris massively failed? Because basically, mainstream media have been poor in how they have decided to cover this election, right? They've placed these two candidates on almost a level playing field, but they elevate Donald Trump more so than Kamala Harris, especially when it comes to who's the more qualified. Kamala Harris has to jump through hoops and rings of fire to prove that she is qualified, whereas they don't require the same for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is running around here. He ain't talking about policy. He's talking a bunch of nonsense. He's showing how detached from reality he is, and mainstream media sane washes his foolishness, his buffoonery, right? Whereas they are ridiculously hard on Madam VP, right? Okay. I saw the name Token Black Girl, and I immediately saw a red hat that said "Make America Great Again." I immediately saw a red hat. Why you got that name, girl? Token Black Girl. Girl. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. Okay. Listen. So that's how mainstream media has been moving. And so for me, I knew Kamala Harris was going to come with it. I know Kamala Harris's resume. I know how she has conducted herself from when she was a senator in Congress. I know how Kamala Harris rolls, right? So I knew she was going to come with it. But my anxiety was so high because I can't stand for these racists to be allowed to be racist the way that they have been without pushback at all. It unnerves me. It grinds my gears. And so I knew Donald Trump was going to hit that stage and he was going to be racist, because what else does he have? He has no policies. The only policy that he has is tied to Project 2025, and he does not want to talk about those policies. The only policy that you've heard him talking about is what? Indemnifying the police, which is tied to Project 2025. He hasn't talked about that in a while. And deporting millions of illegal immigrants, so he say, right? Those are the only two policies that he talks about, and those two policies are directly tied to Project 2025. He doesn't get down into the nitty-gritty of what his plans are for this country, because his plans for this country are Project 2025. So what else does he have? He has all of the buffoonish stuff that he's been talking about out there on the campaign trail. And more recently, Haitian immigrants eating the neighborhood pets, eating the ducks in the neighborhood. That's what he has. So he thought, remember when he debated, Joe Biden? He came on with a bunch of lies, a bunch of flat out lies, talking a bunch of nonsense, talking in circles. That's all he has. That and racism. And so I think what threw him off his game was from the jump when Kamala Harris walked across that stage, made a beeline for him, walked directly across the stage, shook his hand, and said, Kamala Harris.
The candidates to the stage, Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here.
Hold on, I'm gonna play it again because I see StreamYard is running behind.
The candidates to the stage, Vice President Kamala Harris and President Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Welcome to you both. It's wonderful to have you. It's an honor to have you both here.
Nick said, I don't like her touching him. Creep. Listen, he was not expecting her to do that. He was not expecting her to walk directly up to him and look him in his face. First of all, she corrected him because, out there on the campaign trail, he said there's 19 different ways for him to say her name. She walked straight up to him, put her hand out to shake his, looked him in the face, and said, Kamala Harris. That set the tone right there. That set the tone right there. I believe that's what completely threw him off his game from jump. Somebody said, please wash your hands. Please wash your hands. She did that for a reason. It was a straight up power move, in my opinion. A straight up power move. And so when I saw her do that, I was like, oh, okay. So the next clips that I share, they won't be in any particular order. I'm just going to hit play as the videos pop up in my folder, and we are going to discuss them. It's not very many. It's just the points within the debate where I wanted to, kind of like talk about, elaborate on a little bit. I think it's actually maybe 4 other clips, and the clips aren't long at all. Okay. So like I said, no particular order. Here's the first clip. Let me share the screen.
"12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term? They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies,
Absolutely.
your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well,
to
I
your
won't
desk?
have to because, again, 2 things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the
Donna
vote. It's
Pearl.
impossible for her to get the vote, especially
Did you hear
now with
that?
the 50-50, essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of when they said,
Okay. So the reason why I wanted to share this clip specifically is for what he said right there. She's not going to get the vote, right? What Kamala Harris plans to do is she gets into the presidency, then the House and the Senate will work on passing a bill to codify Roe v. Wade, right? What he is saying is that she's not going to get the vote, right? And he's absolutely right. If we do not vote blue down ballot, she will not be able to codify Roe v. Wade. When we say we need to get a majority of Democrats in the House and in the Senate, this is what we're talking about. Right now, there is not a majority in the House and the Senate. The majority in the House is Republican. In the Senate, it's 50-50 because we got damn Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, who are standing in the way of Democrats being able to pass policy. And if Kamala Harris gets into the White House and it's the same way in the House and the Senate, she will not be able to get it done. We have to have a majority of Democrat in the House and a majority of Democrat in the Senate. So when you get into that voting booth in November, you have to vote blue at the top of the ticket down to the bottom of the ticket. What Donald Trump says here is absolutely true. Sort of. Sort of. He's making that statement based on the makeup of the House and the Senate right now. We don't know. We don't know what the makeup is going to be once he or Kamala Harris wins the presidency. But remember what I said, if he wins the presidency, the policies, the laws that we have been abiding by, the policies that are in place that have been governing this country, he will abolish all of it. He will abolish all of it. Okay? All right, on to the next clip.
Turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings.
I love how
And
she
let
looks
me
at
say
them.
that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported.
Yep.
And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job.
Yep.
It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I'll tell you something, he's going to talk about immigration a lot tonight, even when it's not the subject that is being raised. And I'm going to actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies, because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like,
baby, listen. Listen. So she threw him off his game when she came out on stage, made a beeline for him to shake his hand and look him in the face and let him know how to pronounce her name. All right. She had him shook from that moment. Then this right here, let me hit the play button.
Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about
Look
is
at
you.
his face.
You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and
Ooh,
your
he is
and your desires.
seething.
And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first. And I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why
Listen,
did you
wait,
try to
wait.
kill that bill
Wait,
and
wait,
successfully so?
wait,
That would have put
wait.
thousands of it.
So the question is, why did you kill the bill? Okay. The question that he wants to know specifically is, why did you kill the bill? Donald Trump does not want to talk about that because he's so pissed that she insulted him about his crowd sizes. Okay?
Additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there. And then
Look at her.
showing
She
them in
knows
a
she
different
got
light.
him.
So
She
she can't
know
talk
it.
about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in.
Wait, and right here is where she listen, I'm going to rewind it so you can hear what it is. When he starts to go here, you can hear Madam VP laughing. You can hear her. She's already, you can see it, but you can literally hear it once he mentions this hoax. Let me rewind it.
Millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Woo! And he is pissed that she is laughing at him. Come here, Risky. Come here. Let me show the people that ain't nobody eating no dogs over here. See, Whiskey is just fine. Nobody's eating the dogs over here. Mommy loves on her baby over here. So, okay. So, let me tell you, Donald Trump told us a few months ago that he does not like to be laughed at. Okay? He does not like to be laughed at. He does not like to be the butt of the joke. And so her laughing next to him, baby, that is grinding his gears. Do you hear me? It is grinding his gears, the fact that she is laughing at him. Let me rewind it. I want y'all to hear her laughing. We can see it, but you can literally hear it.
Failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
baby. Now y'all know this clip goes on a little bit longer, but she was cracking up, and he could not stand it. He could get in your bed. Get in your bed. Get in. Thank you. He could not stand it. That's the only reason why I wanted to share this clip. I just and the original one says, why did he yell? Why did he yell the whole time? Is his hearing failing? No, he does that because he thinks that projects strength. He thinks that projects strength. That's my opinion, though.
But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as vice president of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
This right here, this clip right here, this exchange was my favorite of the night. My favorite. Yeah, it was funny, her laughing at him and him talking about the dogs and all of that stuff. Yeah, she was on point the rest of the night. But this exchange right here, this was the exchange of the night, in my opinion. And I don't see enough people out there talking about this exchange. This exchange right here is the moment that VP Kamala Harris took down the bully known as Donald Trump. For the life of me, I don't understand why so many people out there let Donald Trump run amok the way that he does. What she did right here, I can't understand why more people do not do this who have to interact with Donald Trump regularly. She told Donald Trump to his face that he was a disgrace. She told Donald Trump to his face that he was a loser. You lost that election, and you lost that election because you were fired. 81 million people galvanized together to say to you, Donald Trump, you're fired. She said to his face that you are not in reality. You are having a hard time processing the fact that you lost the election, that you were fired. You're having a hard time processing that. which means you are delusional. You are not tethered to reality. Baby, this one exchange said so much, and she was a mouthpiece for me in that moment. She said to Donald Trump directly to his face the things that I would love to say, and she said it so eloquently. I'm gonna rewind it, and we're gonna listen to this exchange again.
But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. One of your campaign's top lawyers responded saying, we won't let Donald Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as vice president of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you, and they say you're a disgrace. And when you then talk in this way in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
She told him he was a loser. She told him he was a liar. She told him he was unhinged. She told him he was crazy. He's not tethered to reality. She told him that 81 million people fired him. Baby, this was my favorite exchange of the night. My favorite exchange of the night. Those are my highlights. Those are the things that I wanted to talk about with y'all. I want to remind y'all of one of the very first clips that I shared when Donald Trump told the truth and said that Kamala Harris doesn't have the votes to basically codify Roe v. Wade. If she were president now, he would be absolutely right. He would be telling the truth in that moment, right? So what do we have to do? We have to make sure when we get in the voting booth in November that we vote for Kamala Harris for president, and then we vote blue for our state senators and whoever's running for House representative. Okay? That way, when she gets into office, we will have a majority Democrat Senate and a majority Democrat House of Representatives. And then she will have the votes to codify Roe v. Wade. Now, of course, there was plenty of conversation happening out there after the debate, right? We're not even going to include Fox News, but because we have been watching how CNN has been taking on this new persona, has been moving and shaking so that they can get more MAGA nuts to watch their network. I wanted to share with you Chris Wallace, who's now a commentator over on CNN. I wanted to share with you some thoughts that he had about the debate. And Chris Wallace is a Republican. Okay? Chris Wallace is a Republican, and he used to be on Fox. He left Fox, and now it looks like, I think he did work for MSNBC, did some work with MSNBC, but now I'm seeing him over on CNN. So this is interesting. I want you to hear what it is that he had to say.
I didn't think I was ever going to witness a debate as devastating as the one that you and Dana moderated back in June, where Joe Biden basically tanked his reelection campaign. I think tonight was just as devastating. I think that Kamala Harris pitched a shutout. On almost every subject I can think of. She shut Trump down on abortion. She shut Trump down on January 6th and democracy. She shut him down on national security and turned to the former president and said, the military leaders who served with you think that you're a disgrace. And then, as Dana mentioned, very powerfully at the end, made the point that she is the candidate of change. We need to turn the page from a decade of division and polarization. On substance, I think she pitched a shutout, and I think she did on style.
That's what he had to say. He went on to talk about her style of dress and all of that stuff. But yeah, I find it interesting. I just want you to look at this setup right here. This is a mix of voices right here. Chris Wallace is a Republican, formerly employed over at Fox News. Abby Phillips, she has been with CNN for years. She is a Democratic voice. Jake Tapper, he's been on CNN for years. He has done many of commentary to take down Donald Trump. He is the Democratic voice. What's this lady's name to the right? Dana Bash. Dana Bash she worked, I forget, was it the Bush campaign? Was it Daddy Bush or Baby Bush? She worked with one of their campaigns. She's a Republican. Dana Bash is a Republican. So she is a Republican voice that sometimes stands 10 toes down on what is right. Sometimes. She was a lot more vocal on the Democrat side before this new switch started to happen with CNN. I forget the lady's name on the end in the green suit. I forget her name. She's been with CNN for years. Okay, she was a reporter, just like Abby Phillips. She was a reporter, and then I believe she now has her show, just like Abby Phillips has her show. She's also a Democrat voice. But these voices, you can tell now, compared to, let's just say 5 years ago to today, Jake Tapper, Abby Phillips, and this young lady on the right, they've had to water down their personal opinions when it comes to talking about politics on CNN. They've had to become much softer because of this new direction, including Jake Tapper. Did I say Jake Tapper? Yes. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch CNN at all. Laura Coates. Thank you, Sarah. Laura Coates is the woman on the end. I don't watch CNN at all because of that. Let's just think about the debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, and how Dana Bash and Jake Tapper had to moderate that presidential debate. They did no moderation. They asked questions and then let the candidates answer the questions. They provided no fact-checking whatsoever. None whatsoever. They let Donald Trump run with the lies. Lie after lie after lie after lie. And once he was done spewing his lie within the allowable time frame, they thanked him for his answer. They provided no fact checking. And I'm pretty sure that was the agreement between Donald Trump and CNN. They could not provide any type of fact checking, and they obliged. ABC did not do that. ABC did not do that. And now you got the people over at Fox News, you got Donald Trump, you got the MAGA nuts. They're all trying to discredit ABC and Lindsay. What's the man's name? World News Tonight, the World News Tonight man. They're trying to discredit them. They're trying to say it was, 3 against 1. Kamala Harris and the two moderators ganged up on him. That's what they're trying to say. Why? Because what's the man's name, y'all? David Muir. Thank you. Because David and Lindsay fact checked him. They didn't allow him to spew the lies and not follow up with the truth. They fact checked him on that lie about over in Springfield, Ohio, Haitian immigrants are eating the cats and the dogs. They fact checked him on that lie that he told about abortion after birth. That is not true. That is called murder, infanticide, murder of a baby. That is not true. That is illegal. They fact checked him on some things he said about the border. They called him out on his lack of a health care policy. And so, yeah, he felt attacked because they fact checked him. And so, of course, Kamala Harris wants to do another debate. Donald Trump says he doesn't know if he wants to do another debate because it was 3 against 1. Because they didn't stop her from lying, but they stopped him from telling the truth. and Fox News is, their commentators are on their shows echoing the nonsense. So I expect, as I do videos today and tomorrow, I'll get MAGA nuts coming down into the comments section. You couple that along with the lie that Laura Loomer put out there about Kamala Harris wearing smart earrings. It's been debunked. People have proven that the earring she was wearing is from Tiffany's. So with the lie being told on the national stage about Haitian immigrants eating cats and ducks in the neighborhoods of Springfield, Ohio, the people over in Springfield, Ohio had to come out and do a press conference to debunk the lie. Let's listen to what he had to say. I don't know who this man is. I think he's the town manager.
Recent rumors that have been circulated related to our Haitian community. We wish to clarify that we have not been able to verify any credible reports or specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community. The news story regarding a cat being killed and consumed did not originate in Springfield. It actually involved a Canton woman who was arrested for animal cruelty last month. Rumors like this are taken away from the real issues, such as the issues involving our housing,
Right,
our school resources,
right.
and our overwhelmed healthcare system. Additionally, there have been no verified incidences of immigrants engaging in illegal activities as squatting or littering in front of residents' homes. As it relates to driving, I made a statement at the last city commission meeting that I'm just as concerned as all of our citizens of the reckless operation, speeding, and distracted driving of motor vehicles in our community. In fact, I have continued to ask for support at the state level to support us in addressing these major driving-related concerns. Just recently, Governor DeWine, in a press conference held today at 3:30, announced that he ordered the Director of Public Safety, Andy Wilson, and the State Highway Patrol to immediately begin a data-driven task enforcement surge in conjunction with the Springfield Police Department and the Clark County Sheriff's Department to combat these driving issues.
So the mayor of Springfield had to come out to say this is not true. And the story where this heinous lie, this xenophobia, this racism mixed up in this story is about a woman from Canton, Ohio, that, from what I understand, was having a mental episode. She was having a mental episode and she wasn't eating the dog or the cat, but she did unalive the dog or the cat. And so the MAGA nuts have taken that story. I believe they found that the story started over on Facebook. The MAGA nuts took that story and they blew it up and made it what it was to distract from the fact that Donald Trump does not have policies. To distract from all of Donald Trump's shenanigans. To say, hey, don't look at Donald Trump, look at this. That's why they do that. Meanwhile, the person that Donald Trump is bragging about endorsing him was put out for actually eating a dog. This is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. some odd years ago. I don't know how many years ago. And this is supposed to be a grilled dog. It actually has been verified by vets that this is a dog because, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. came out and said, no, that wasn't a dog, that was a pig. But the vets who were contacted by Vanity Fair, because I believe the story stems from Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair reached out to veterinarians to say, can you confirm or deny that this is a dog? And the vets confirmed, because dogs have a 13th rib, something like that. And wherever the rib is positioned in the carcass, that proves that it was a dog. But yeah, they want to lie, to demonize Haitian Americans, to try to bring down Madam VP because she's the border czar. And these people wouldn't be in this country if it wasn't for lax immigration. This is what they're doing. They're stealing the neighbors' cats and dogs, and they're eating the cats and dogs. But they ain't have nothing to say about their own eating a dog. I don't know who the woman is in the picture. I don't know who the woman is. Honestly, she's irrelevant. We're focusing on R.F. Kennedy Jr., one of their own, who just endorsed Donald Trump, and they were all praising R.F. Kennedy Jr. for endorsing Donald Trump. And yet they ain't saying nothing about this. They ain't saying nothing about this. Okay? Are we clear? So now let's all of it's come out that, you know, the fact checkers have come out specifically. I like that guy over on CNN that does the fact checking. He did a video. We're going to watch him fact checking Donald Trump's lies and Kamala Harris. He's going to do a fact check and we're going to watch it. But CNN had counted that Donald Trump told 33 plus lies, whereas Kamala Harris told 1 plus lie. 33 plus lies. And I suspect there's more. This is what they could catch. This is what they could catch. Right, Jadis. Jadis down, Jadis Darkstone. Exactly. Vanity Fair consulted with veterinarians. I would think a veterinarian would know the physical makeup of a dog. And they confirmed that that carcass is a dog. Okay, close your ears, Whiskey, because mommy would never. Let me cue up the fact check video. And then we'll be out. I would heavily have to. I can't just let this live video. I gotta heavily cut out all of the bumbles and fumbles with this live. Let me share my screen. Let me hit play.
Just a few of the claims, false claims, that Donald Trump made last night. CNN senior reporter, resident fact checker Daniel Dale is with us. You have been busy, my friend.
I have, sir. The fact check story of the night was the staggering dishonesty of former President Trump. I counted at least 33 false claims from him, and I think that might be a generous count, versus 1, maybe 2 false claims from Vice President Harris, though she did also add a smattering of misleading or lacking in context claims. Let's go through this wild list of false Trump claims, John. Some of them are just egregious lies. On the economy, he said tariffs do not raise prices on Americans. They do. He said his tariffs raked in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. Americans paid those billions. He said all of the jobs created under Biden and Harris are merely bounce back jobs from his administration. No, today's number is millions higher than back then. He said we have the worst inflation ever. No, the U.S. record is 23.7%. It is 2.9% today, down from a Biden-Harris era peak of 9.1%. He said there was no inflation when he was president. Prices actually rose a cumulative 8% when he was president. Then on immigration, he said migrants in an Ohio City, you heard, are eating people's cats and dogs. That is a baseless, debunked Facebook rumor, just nonsense. He said Harris is border czar. No, she never was. She had a more limited immigration-related diplomatic assignment. He said 21 million migrants have crossed the border under Harris. That is many millions too high. He said millions of people are entering monthly. There has not been a single month in the millions. He said many of the migrants are from foreign prisons or mental institutions. Even his own campaign has not been able to corroborate that. On abortion, he said every Democrat wanted Roe v. Wade overturned. That is just untethered to reality. Roe was supported by more than 80% of Democrats. Then he said every legal scholar wanted Roe overturned. A bunch of legal scholars have personally told me that they did not. He said Governor Tim Walz says it's fine to execute babies after birth. Walz never said that, and that is illegal in every single state. On foreign relations, he said $85 billion in U.S. equipment was left to the Taliban. That is a massive exaggeration. The Pentagon says the number is $7 billion. He said Iran didn't fund terror groups under him. Iran did, though its funding level did decline. He said he ended Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline. No, he did authorize sanctions, but after it was more than 90% complete, and Russia resumed construction during his own presidency. He said the U.S. has provided far more aid to Ukraine than Europe has. It's the reverse. Europe has provided far more aid than the U.S. He said President Biden took millions of dollars from China. He did not. He added a false claim about Biden getting money from Russia, again, nonsense. And he said Harris was sent to negotiate peace with Putin right before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Not only did that just not happen, the Kremlin says Harris has never once even spoken with Putin. Trump said he rebuilt the entire military. He did not. And then attacking Vice President Harris, he said Harris was the first candidate to drop out of the 2020 Democratic primary. There were actually 13 others who dropped out before her. He said Harris previously said she wasn't black. Total fiction. He said people don't attend Harris rallies. Thousands do indeed. He said people don't leave his own rallies early. Some do. And when it came to the 2020 election and his own legal troubles, he said there's so much proof the 2020 election was stolen. There is not. It was not. He said Nancy Pelosi turned down his offer of 10,000 National Guard troops on January 6th. There's no evidence she even got such an offer. It was Trump, not the speaker, who had the power to deploy the Guard. He said no judge even looked at the merits of his allegations about the 2020 election. Some judges actually did, and his side still lost those cases. He said the Justice Department was behind a variety of legal cases it had actually nothing to do with. And then a whole bunch of other lies on a variety of topics. He said crime is skyrocketing, is actually declining sharply. He said the Central Park Five pleaded guilty. They did not. They were wrongly convicted. He said those men killed someone. It was not even a murder case. He said he saved Obamacare when actually he tried to kill it and then weakened it. He said Harris has a plan to confiscate, quote, everybody's gun. She does not. In 2019, she supported a mandatory buyback of assault weapons in particular, and her campaign says she doesn't even support that now. John?
Baby, he ran it down. He ran it down. The lies, straight up lies. And now he's out there on social media complaining that it was 3 against 1. 3 against 1. I'll be posting a video with that video so you guys can share the video over on your social media pages. This video of the lies being debunked. Okay, y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. I'm sorry that this was a janky live. Like I said, I still work for a living. I don't make enough on this channel or any other of my outlets to not work for a living. So I still work a full-time job. And because that pays the bills, that comes first. So my prep time that I had for this morning, it was taken away from me because I got pulled into a meeting first thing this morning. But we made it through. I got to say all that I wanted to say. I got to share all that I wanted to share. We got to hang out and we got to do some laughing at Donald Trump. So once this live ends, make sure you head over to your state's voter registration site and check your voter eligibility status. Even if you did it yesterday, go over and check your voter registration status. Make sure that you are still eligible. Make sure that you are still active, because Republicans, they're kicking people off the voter rolls. And if you catch it quick, fast, and in a hurry, then you can get the problem fixed. You don't want to go up to the voting booth in November and find out that you've been kicked off the voting rolls. At that point, it's kind of hard to fix the problem so that you can vote. Okay? Okay. On that note, thank y'all for the super chats. Thank y'all for all of the support. All right. I love y'all. Y'all be safe. These people is crazy. Okay? Okay.